Okay, so for setting the centering, you don't have to go to the settings as we were before where we entered the custom menu. You just boot it up normally. So what we're going to do is turn everything on, and the rudder's still deflected a little. You're just going to have to trust me on this one. But we want to adjust channel 7, which is what channel my rudder is plugged into. So we're going to set this to channel 7. And to set the end point and center point, we want to turn the function switch to the number 1. And that allows us to program number 7. And then you hit the increment or decrement to move it until you get it lined up. And it moves in very small increments. Okay, so now that's centered. Let me go ahead and grab the camera off the tripod here. Sorry for the vertigo, guys. But you can see now our servo arm is at 90 degrees. And if we look down the rudder, you can see it lines up with the center line in the cabane, and we've got 0 degrees. It's always handy to have the manual ready. There's a lot of text here. It's, like I said, it's fairly simple. As you saw, we just centered that one servo, and it didn't take hardly any time at all. Let me get this set back up on here. Alright, so let me go ahead and we'll set this back to fly mode. And now the rudder's taken care of. It's no longer blinking, ready to fly, and works just fine. Now, let me go ahead and change the camera angle, and I'll show you something else that's going on with the plane. Okay, so by default, we've got an interesting characteristic. Now we've already set up the ailerons here, and you see they're all moving the right directions. You move the stick to the right ailerons come up. Those are correct. And that's going to cause it to roll to the right. Again, to the left, these are doing the same thing. So we've got all the right action. Later we're going to fine-tune the deflection on all of them. But here's where it gets really funny, is how would you like to do this? You go taxiing down the runway and you go to take off and, oh no, the elevator halves are different. So we know that when I plugged it in, I made the right elevator channel A, and when I pull up, that's the one that's going right. So channel B on the Smart Fly needs to be reversed so I can get them going the same direction. Let me get the camera set back up and we'll go through the programming for that. Okay, so the plane's still on, and again, since we don't have to reset everything, we can go straight into the menu from here. Now we want to adjust the channel for the elevators, which on my plane here is going to be channel 3. So I want to make sure to specify channel 3. And then on the book here it says to reverse servo B, follow the instructions for reversing servo A, except that we want to make sure that it's on number 6. So we're going to go ahead and set this to number 6. And it says in order to do this, you need to push either increment or decrement to change the reversing of the servo. But you have to hold it down for about a second for it to register, and this is so that you don't accidentally reverse the servo. So let's hold this down for about a second, and now I can check. I went the wrong way, so let's hit the other button. Okay, you can see it register to change, and now they're both working the right direction. So we can set this back to 0 for our ready to fly, and again back to 0. Confirm that the settings took, and let me go ahead and move the camera and you can see where that is. We'll do the vertigo check again. Steven Spielberg does not live in my basement. There are no trickeries. This is all one take. And you can see here, now when I work the elevator, they both work in the same direction. Okay, so let me get some throw meters set up and let's do some deflection. Okay, so I have my digital throw meter set up here, and since we set everything up to be 0 before, but the plane's sitting at an angle, you'll notice the little letter A over here. And that's because I have it acquiring the 0 angle. If I don't do that, then it shows a 17-degree slope because that's the angle at which the airplane sits. So if I work the aileron surface, you can see how it reads the angle actively, and I'm getting just about 41 degrees down. And 48 degrees up. Well, it's kind of uneven, so what we're going to do is go into the Smart Fly and adjust the end points, and we're going to bring the top one down to 45 degrees and take the other side and bring that up to 45 degrees. And we'll keep the center point the same. Now that little jitter there is the meter trying to find exactly 0, and it doesn't come right back to 0. It kind of bounces there right around there. So here you can see 40 coming back to 0 and 48. So just like we did with the center point, we'll be able to adjust those settings. So let me get the instructions and get the Smart Fly set up. Okay, so the appropriate channel has been selected, and I have the settings set up to just like we did with the end point and centering. You can see right here to adjust servo B, to adjust servo C, and adjusting servo A. It's a good thing to go ahead and read through this, just like we did before with the centering. Now what we're going to do is our goal is to get 45 degrees of deflection. So as we saw here, this was 47. You hold it in the deflected state and then hit the increment and decrement buttons until you get to the desired angle that you want. And you can see it's coming right on down. And there's my 45 degrees for the end point. There's 0. And now for this one, get that to 45. And now we have 45 down, 0, 42 up. Looks like something slid here. There's 0. 42.8. Let's get this hook up. 45. Now what you'll have to do is rinse repeat for every control surface, or if you have multiple servos on the same control surface, you'll want to unplug this servo and go through the same process to do your endpoints for the other servo. At that point, they're both matched up. So once I get the other aileron set up, then all four of them will be going the same amount. You want to do the same thing for the elevators and the rudder. Make sure that you have equal throw in both directions. And then later we'll come back and set up our low rates and high rates in the radio. So let me go ahead and do the rest of the control surfaces, and then we'll come back and finish setting up the airplane.